Hello viewers, welcome back to another edition of Gran Turismo Sport, the real penalty simulator. So this time around, it's not going to be Group 3 or Group 4, which is what I normally do, or Group 2. It's going to be straight up stock road cars, although this one, yes, the 911 GT3 RS, pretty much almost a race car. It's about as race car as a road car goes. And we're going to test out our skills around the Nurburgring Nordschleife. Still in the process of trying to get our driver rating back up to SS or A+S, whatever it is now. Currently still sitting on BS, which is a load of BS, so plenty of work to be done still as the Brit ahead goes a little bit too deep into turn 1 proper, so then up into third place, hunting down a Belgian and a German. So the German with home advantage, although by this evidence not really helping him too much as he slides wide coming down the hill. I just spotted briefly at the bottom of the screen the Brit in the purple motor coming through as well. So then Gran Turismo Sport still trying to repair my driver rating. Went down to C at one point. Currently sitting on B. Sportsmanship is on S, so that's not too bad. I mean, you can repair that quite quickly, but it's the driver rating that does take considerably longer to repair. So this track, of course, Nürburgring Nordschleife, is not going to be the easiest one to overtake because it's so narrow, but I've already overtaken 2 as I almost get out of shape on the fast section here, just tipping 2 wheels onto the grass. Now of course, because it's a stock car, you have to drive it a lot differently compared to let's say like a Group 3 or Group 2 or Group 4 car. Those kind of cars normally have a lot better brakes, and that's kind of evidence there as I get well out of shape going into the right hander at the end of that long straight section. So onto the gravel, lose the position, down into third. The Brit goes up into second. Nürburgring Nordschleife as well, it's going to be one of those races, especially in a car like this, fast but with bad brakes, or relatively bad brakes as I go into the wall. It's going to be one of those races where it's about minimising those mistakes and penalties, which I've just got. 2.2 seconds there. You do get penalties for slamming into the wall, so the game is trying to deem that you have tried to gain an advantage by just not braking, using the wall as a brake, that kind of thing. So of course you've got to learn your lesson. Try not to go into walls. Often helps in motorsport. So the race is delicately poised here as you're going down the hill. You can see the Belgian in the lead, not too far away. I'm the only one with a penalty though in the top 3, so that is something I have to consider. Although 2.2 isn't too bad. You don't really lose 2.2 seconds by trying to get rid of it. Well, it depends how bad or good you are at getting rid of the penalty. As the Brit goes very wide onto the grass, tries to rejoin, just about have enough space to go back up into second, and I think I've definitely gained on the Belgian in the lead. So the race bring up nicely as we get towards the halfway mark. The qualifying times around about 7 minutes 40 for me. The top guys would be doing 7:20 something. Many people in the 7:30s, so around about the just shy of 4 minutes, and we are pretty much halfway as we wind left. This is a crucial corner coming up here, and again getting on the brakes nice and early as we come through. The Belgian a little bit out of shape, so that's a key corner as we go into hyperspace mode. Now some of these corners here are actually very tricky to get right, even though they are seemingly flat out in a Group 3 car. So into the sweeping left, Belgian's taking it very nicely. And then we're going to go over a crest into a fast right. There we go. I've ghosted out actually as I got on the anchors. Now into this right-hander, I tried to get off the accelerator early, get on the brakes early, and try to get rid of the penalty, and it really didn't work at all. So later on in the race, I've got a bit more of a penalty. We're going to fast forward here. We've got the German hot on our tail. I don't think I'll be able to stay in second place. Well, I might be able to cross the line in second, but I do have a penalty as I get it all out of shape into the final sequence. That is surely going to be a penalty as I cut the circuit. Yes, it is. There it is, 8 seconds worth of penalty. So I'm going to have to pull over to the side here. Just let the German go. Except that I'm not going to beat him today. Just wind down that penalty just as we cross the line to claim third. So then a couple of mistakes. I mean, you've got to learn from those. Clearly, I mean, it's not a too bad a result. We went up a position and it's on the podium. But we can do better. I'm going to start 9th this time around. So we're going to go again, learn from our mistakes hopefully. Change the colour of the car, which always helps. Adds about 100 horsepower. A couple of A-rated drivers, an A+ driver on pole position. Starting a little bit further back this time, 8th place, as we look to go around the outside of the Danish guy here. Doesn't give us too much room. I think I had nose halfway alongside his car. So I thought I legitimately went for that. And then around the outside here, again, doesn't give me too much space, but I'm through, or I'm on the inside at least. The Spaniard and the Dane have a penalty each. So that is something you also have to consider as it all gets a bit messy behind, which opens up the gap to 8th place. So that's a position gained already. The Spaniards are very wide, although not enough for me to make the most of it and get through. So patience is important around here. I mean, you can force the issue, you can try to go for a move, but you know, more often than not you're probably going to get a penalty or make a mistake and go wide. So you do have to often just kind of wait. It's almost like Monaco in many senses. You kind of just have to wait for the person in front to make a mistake and then just pounce on it when it happens. Not too many big overtaking opportunities on this lap. So we're going to come up the hill over the crest. You might just get a little bit of air there, we do, into the fast double apex right. Just dipping 2 wheels on the grass. We're going to prioritise keeping the car facing forwards rather than keeping a throttle all the way down. So we have lost time there, but at least we haven't spun around, which we could have very easily done. It's not too easy to control this car. I mean, I'm used to Group 3 and Group 4, so having a car with significantly less grip overall is tricky to deal with. And we get a nice free overtake here. So this guy ghosted out and basically 0 time loss. You know, most of the time around here you're going to lose time in an overtake. So that one there going through the German, so it's a free overtake, 0 time loss. We can focus then on trying to catch the Spaniard once again, who still has the penalty, although he's in a group, probably doesn't want to really back out and serve the penalty just yet. So 2nd place is just at the front of this pack. The A+ rated driver in pole, or from pole position, still in the lead and with a healthy margin over 2nd. So we can almost safely assume that he's probably going to win this one, but you never know, of course. Let's see how it develops. So the pack ahead getting very, very close for comfort as we go down the hill. A couple of penalties flashing above their names, or above their cars. So the Italian now demoted to 5th. The 2 Iberians, the 2 Spaniards up to 3rd and 4th. I sensed a bit of ghosting there. I think one of the cars might be ghosted as one of the Spaniards goes flying off into the wall. Cheeky wall ride, but it's slow. And he's down into 6th place. I'm up to 5th. So healthy progress being made in this one as I just bump him wide. And I'm going to let him go, but he doesn't want to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and just take 3rd place. So you get penalties for ridiculous things, and then, I mean, to be honest, I pushed him a little bit wide and didn't get a penalty. So there we go. You can sometimes escape the net and get away with not getting a penalty. So I'm not sure why the Italian didn't want to go. Perhaps he wanted to wait. He wanted to wait for the Spaniard. I wanted to wait for the Italian. But well, there we go. Up to 3rd place. And going to try to hunt down the Finn in 2nd. And actually looking ahead there, you can just see the flashing red. I kind of criticised the flashing red, as in it's kind of too obvious, it's too bright and it's too distracting. But it's kind of helped me there because at least I know that he has got a penalty. He's about 4 seconds ahead. And well, it depends obviously how big that penalty is. We'll try and get as close to him as we can. So the rest of the lap is basically a time trial. As long as the guys behind don't start catching up and attacking me, then from here to the end, just try to get as close as I can to the fin, and then hopefully jump him into second place, which would be a good result because I've come from further back than I did in the first race against arguably better drivers, a couple of A rated drivers in this one compared to mostly B in the first race. So driving towards the carousel, going to brake nice and early, down to second gear. So this car, it does like to oversteer, it's very twitchy, and actually the fin has had some sort of mistake through the carousel because the gap's now down to less than 2 seconds, so he's lost about 2.5 seconds through that corner. So the race is definitely on here. Of course we still don't know how big that penalty is. I'm hoping of course that it's a larger one, but you just can't be sure at all. But we saw at the end of the first race I got rid of an 8-second penalty and I only lost really about 3 seconds in doing it, so I think I do need it to be quite a big one. The gap to 1.2 at this point here, so not too big. It's going to be one of those races where he knows, I think he knows what it is. It's just a matter of, it's not even a matter of me having to overtake him, it's just a matter of getting a big enough gap. So I'm trying to close the gap, he's trying to make it bigger, and you've got this sort of tug of war going on between the two of us. So he gets a bit of oversteer coming out of that corner, might lose a tenth or two, but not too much. The gap now 1.4 as we come over the crest, down fast sweeping section as we come up towards the end of the lap, down the hill, big crest there, and a little bit wide, just dip 2 wheels onto the side of the track, just about keep it on though, so we're okay for now. So down the crest, or down the hill, this is a very fearsome and scary section, so just keeping 2 wheels on the track, and I think I spotted that he went over the grass there. His penalty may have just got a little bit bigger. So the braking, there's a little black box kind of thing hanging down the side of the track, and I brake just next to that, into that fast sweeping right, and it seems to have been a good braking point. So into the pretty much penultimate corner before the long straight, that's a mistake, dipping 2 wheels or most of my wheels onto the grass. I didn't spin or anything, so just keeping it just about on the track almost and not losing too much time, but it could be crucial at the end because the gap has now opened up to about over 3 seconds. As we go on to the main straight, we're going to fast forward this section as obviously nothing is really going to happen apart from me going down the straight at approaching 200 miles an hour in 7th gear. So the difficult final sector, I've hopefully learned my lesson from the previous race. Braking a little bit later this time, perhaps a little too late, not perfect but good enough hopefully. So into the final corner, onto the main straight, very short straight here. The Hungarian has won, or the Luxembourg driver has won, sorry. Couldn't quite see the colour on that flag. I can't get my blues and greens right, that is a blue, that's from Luxembourg. And it was only 1 second penalty in the end, so he must have sort of got rid of it, or he didn't really have a big penalty. But still, 3rd place, and well, +6, so the number 6 does feature, Super GT video confirmed. We're going to turn our attention to Brazil, Interlagos, for something resembling the Renault Sport Trophy. So it's a series that existed in 2015-2016 using this exact car, the Renault RS.01. The series folded, but we're going to give it a little bit of a try here at Interlagos, so a 1-make race. So going up to 2 TCS off the line, but then back down to 1. This car really is very twitchy and does like to slide on the exit of the corners when you're on the power. So I'm going to have to drive with at least 1 TCS. Through the centre S, getting rather messy, as it pretty much always does. Carvo going sideways, 2 positions gained. The Brit ahead, actually. There's a Brit ahead who was behind me on the grid, but has somehow jumped up into about 4th already. So mega start from here. I'm going to go slightly defensive into turn 4 to preserve this 8th place. So up behind the German now, through turn 5, looking up the hill into the infield section. The twisty part of Interlagos. He braked really early, and I'm going to kind of squeeze him onto the apex and go around the outside up into 7th place. It was a good move. but he really did make that easy for me. He could have braked a lot later and kept me on the outside, and there's no way I would have been able to overtake him if we were side by side and I was on the outside. Anyway, up into 7th, the Italian ahead with a penalty, but still only lap 1, so it's not like we can just sit behind him and wait until the end and try to claim 6th. We really want to try to get past him early doors and then make progress onto the Brit in 5th, who started behind us, so we should technically be quicker than him. So then the long climb up the hill onto the main straight to end the first lap. Just 5 laps here. It's fast, it's furious, it's frenetic, which is good about these race A and B on daily races. You don't really have to worry too much. It's just a fast dash, a fast sprint to the end. Bit of contact with the Italian and the Brit, and coming through the centre S, it looked like there was contact, but I'm pretty sure he was ghosted. I've watched it in slow-mo about 1,000 times. I'm pretty sure he was ghosted. But as a result of that bit of a melee on the apex of centre S, couldn't quite keep the traction under control and then cut the corner, get a 2.6 second penalty. So okay, we're going to have to contend with that at some point. Looking to the inside of the Brit up the hill, and it looks really clumsy. I'm trying to back out there as he did squeeze me. So okay, he keeps fifth place. Not the cleanest looking backing out you've ever seen, but it's all good. We neither of us get a penalty, which is the bonus in the penalty simulator. But he preserves 5th, I preserve 6th place for now. Just tipping 2 wheels onto the grass as we go into that corner. Kind of tip the car around in actually quite a nice way. So the long left before pretty much the final corner, and hitting the apex nicely. A little bit too wide on the exit, but we're not going to lose too much time. It is a crucial corner because it leads onto the main straight, which is fairly long around here. And of course you have the best overtaking opportunity on the lap into the first corner. So I'm way too far behind at the moment to go for that move. Looking between the 100 board and the 50 board, so pretty much 75 metres before the corner, and you're braking through the centre S. Red line there with a decent run. We're going to tuck into that slipstream though, down the long back straight into turn 4. So you can definitely see that slipstream working. And we're going to pull out and look for the inside. And I think he was kind of distracted as he goes way too deep on the brakes. Uses plenty of the Astro runoff. In fact, I was quite loud on the brakes as well. We're going to cover off the German who's trying to get on the attacking action right now. So we're going to preserve our position in 5th. Looking ahead at 2nd, 3rd and 4th, they are line astern. The first driver in that group, the Frenchman, has a penalty, interestingly. So we're going to look to try to make that group of 3 a group of 4. Ideally, I don't want to tow the 2 guys behind me with me. I'd rather they stayed back here and then I join that group on my own. But you just never know how it's going to turn out. What we can do is just try to lap our best, the best we can. The German with a mistake through the final corner. Couldn't quite catch what happened. It was possibly contact. He might have gone for a move that did pay off. Up into 4th place. So this has actually been fairly steady progress. 2nd and 3rd, a good 3-4 seconds ahead. So it's going to be very difficult to catch them unless they start fighting, with only 2 laps remaining. A fairly short lap around Sao Paulo. So not much scope to really catch them both, although they do have penalties, quite interestingly. And again, like the Nürburgring races earlier, you just never know exactly how big that penalty is. So all you can do really is just try to maximise your lap time and try to get as close as you can. Look at that 100 board into turn 4, down a couple of gears into 4th. The car easily through that corner. It has plenty of grip, plenty of downforce this one, but you do have to be very careful on the throttle. And the car has very good brakes actually, far better than the road going Porsche 911, but as you'd expect, this is a race car, it should have better brakes. So then through the sweeping right and into the left. 2nd gear is probably the better gear really, but I like to shift up into 3rd to get better traction, probably better overall, more consistent by doing that. If you're coming out there in 2nd, the car's just going to slide out a couple of times and you're going to lose more than you gain. So then into towards the final corner with just one lap remaining after this one. So going to try to get the best exit we possibly can. Mainly I think now it's going to be a defensive race, or at least just trying to stay away from the German behind. The gap up to 1.7, but let's not forget I do have a 2.6 second penalty to deal with. So plenty of race management going on here. I think the best thing to do would be to go to the end and then just get rid of the penalty over the line, or just before you cross the line. I mean, I could get rid of it, like, let's say now, and stay ahead possibly, but then it just invites an assault from the guys behind. It's worth just keeping that gap for now. I'm far enough ahead that you can't overtake, and then just do it right at the very end, so you can't really go for that overtake. It's too late by then. So we just got to maximise this lap. The gap down to 1.4 briefly, although now up to 2 seconds. He's definitely made a mistake, but to be safe I want 2.6 seconds, and then I should be able to comfortably keep fourth, which is a good result considering I was starting on the fringes of the top 10. So it's always good to move up. Always happy to move up, even if it's not a win or it's not a podium. Just moving up from your grid slot, having a good race, making good positive progress is always a good thing. So a couple of corners left in the race. The gap standing about 2.4 to the guy behind. I don't think there's much chance of getting second or third unless their penalties are very severe, as they're going very deep into the final corner. That could invite some pressure as we then wind up the hill to end the race. So we're going to come up here and slow down just before the line. And I think I've just done enough. Let's see if I have. Where is the line? Just coming up here underneath this gantry just before. And there we go, comfortably keeping it from the German. And nowhere near really enough to get close to the Frenchman and the Portuguese in second and third. And of course, well done to the Italian in the lead for just quite simply dominating that race. But there we go, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video as always. There we go. Thank you very much for watching as always. Smash the like button if you enjoyed and subscribe for more. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Listen.